Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, let's see. We are loading. We are good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Yay! It's always an adventure trying to get logged in. And today's is no exception. So, hello, Facebook world. I am Megan Carter. I'm the Advancement Director for Fantasy Playhouse Children's Theater in Huntsville, Alabama. If you have joined our Ask Me Anything series before, we've done quite a few, and we've had some really great guests. And today, I'm very excited because we have Miss Marissa here. And if you actually just saw Kristin Chenoweth in concert when she came through a couple months ago, you saw Marissa. And I have to tell you, Marissa, that I totally fangirled when I realized that we had mutual friends and that you could do this. And I'm so excited. So,
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
oh, it's my pleasure. So hopefully this technology holds out so we can actually make use of all this.
Yes.
I got to tell you that when you first walked out on stage, I leaned over to the person I was with and I was like, I need more glitter in my wardrobe. So I'll start us off with that because
if I could teach anyone one thing, that would definitely be it. So I succeeded.
We're done.
It's nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you. All right. Well, I'll let you take it away. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll let people get logged in and get the questions rolling and go from there.
Sure. My name is Marissa Rosen and I am a singer, actress, performer here in New York City and wherever life takes me. I've been performing since before I can remember. It's just kind of always been a thing. The funny part is my first theater school was called Fantasy Playhouse on Long Island. So it was just a magical place. And this is just so special. So I did that and I've studied theater and singing and dance and music theory and all that kind of stuff all throughout school, did all the shows. And then I went to school in New York City and have just been kind of working ever since, mostly in the musical theater world. But I've always been kind of a music theory nerd, and I've loved singing in choirs and harmonies and things like that. So the world took me into a couple of bands and singing groups, and then I started arranging music, and for the past couple of years have been making a good living as a backup singer, and it's just been like kind of a crazy eclectic world that brought me to Kristin. So I just kind of love it, and it's weird and it's uncertain and kind of like the world today, but we embrace it, and I'm happy to be in this business.
So were you out on tour with her still when this pandemic happened? Like, where were you when all this went down?
We were out pretty late. Our last concert date was the 10th. Was that, I don't know if that was you guys. And I think we were in North Carolina. And that was a leg of our tour right before we came back here for a sec. And it was kind of not beginnings of it, but it was the beginnings of the shutdowns. So we were in airports that were empty and on planes that were really kind of, sparse, and we didn't know what was going on. So it was definitely scary, but Kristin's whole team was just like, we're going to do what's best for everyone and get everyone home safe. And everyone's been kept up to date. But it was crazy that we were kind of still out while there were a lot of places being shut down. So we were like, yeah.
Everything's fine. We're fine.
Yeah, everything's fine.
That's awesome. So you have been doing theater and musical theater since you can remember. So I'm assuming you did it in high school and then on into college. Is that what you studied at university?
Yes. I've been, I guess, doing like true shows since middle school, I want to say, when we started doing like the big musicals. Middle school, high school, college, regional, things like that. But yeah, we had a really great high school program. The music program was unbelievable. So there were like 10 choirs. We had jazz choir and show choir and women's choir and mixed choir. And AP Theory, and we have out here, I'm sure we have all county chorus, all Eastern, all state kind of things that all of us music nerds tried to get into. So we did a thing called NISMA every year, which is a vocal competition where we get judged on song, performance, sight reading, things like that. We have to sing that 24 Italian arias book and, kind of do that. But yeah, musical theater has kind of always been my love.
I feel like that's pretty fortunate for a high school, especially to have that many different opportunities. What is a piece of advice you would give a high schooler that wants to do what you do?
Get really good at it. That's my just become the best at whatever it is you want to do. It is a very tough business. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. It is competitive. It is cutthroat. It's hard on the soul sometimes, but it is the most rewarding. So if you can I think the common denominator that I always tell either my students or people that I'm speaking to, the common denominator that you have in this business is your preparedness. You can't change who you're going to perform, who you're going to audition for. You can't change the room that you're going to be in. You can't change the circumstance, and you can't change the role, but you can change how you walk into that room with what you are giving them. Your music is not going to change. Your focus is not going to change. Your intention is not going to change. Your knowledge of the accompaniment that you're giving to the piano player is not going to change. So those are those common denominators that are some of the toughest ones that people have trouble with. If you can go in and that is the only thing that you can control, and it is the best, and you feel like you could wake up and sing that piece of music in your sleep, you're fine. Just keep going. Gosh, keep going. Don't give up. I know that's so cliche, but just don't give up.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Do you remember what was your first New York
audition? It goes against all of my beliefs now, but it was for Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. I just moved to the city. I had no idea what type and brand and things like that. I was like, I could be a fork. I saw some dancing forks and spoons and knives and be our guest when I saw the show as a kid, not knowing that they were all basically like Rockettes, and I'm like 5'1" maybe. So I was like, this is it. And so my friends and I, when I first moved to the city, we lined up at 5 o'clock in the morning, all ready with our audition books and our character shoes. And we waited all morning to sing 8 bars of an audition for the Broadway company of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So at what point, I'm assuming you have an agent now. What point did you get an agent in your career?
I was pretty lucky. I've had kind of a couple of different kinds of representation throughout my career. These days, it's a little harder. There's so much competition out there. It's always best to have representation if you can. I believe I had my first agent when I was maybe like 19 or 20. They had seen me in kind of like a showcase that I did out here. I'm not with that representative right now, but that was my first person that kind of took me under their wing and taught me about appointments and getting into auditions and preparedness and things like that. But through the years, sometimes you do change because you change as a human, the business changes, and it's important to be with someone who understands you and your brand and your type.
Sure.
So I've been really lucky to be represented by a fantastic talent agency now.
That's good to know. What are you working on right now? Like, are you doing anything during this craziness, or are you just trying to stay home and survive, or what are you up to?
It's been bizarrely busy. The arts community is just, it's like the Titanic. The last people to go down are the entertainers. Everyone is working so hard to lift spirits and entertain and be creative. I do a show every Monday evening. I used to do it in the city as well. It's kind of like a nightclub show. It's called Diva, and it is a celebration of divas: Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. And it's me and two girls and another guy, and we used to do the show every week for 7 years, and now we're learning how to do it digitally. So I've been doing that every Monday night,
Oh, wow.
which is super fun, and it's also demanding, turning your bathroom into a like sound studio. I'm spending a lot of time kind of learning the new way, learning new technology, learning how to use new toys, because I have had some technological auditions and some Zoom meetings, and have learned more about recording and video and lighting and things like that. So it's been pretty busy, but the majority of my time is spent trying to keep my family safe and stopping them from going food shopping every day. So I know. So that's definitely, and catching up, with people, because it's nice to kind of have time to talk to people.
Yeah,
it's kind of been the beauty.
Kind of a breather, sort of.
I know.
What are you doing when everything resumes? Do you have something? Or are you going back out on tour with Kristin, or was that pretty much wrapped up, you said?
No, we have dates all the way through 2021, which is awesome. And a couple of our dates have already nothing's been canceled, knock on wood. So everything's kind of in the postponed moment now. So if and when things do start catching up, we do have a lot of dates with Kristin. Have some regional opportunities that, if they do happen, and a lot of New York City performing has to do with readings and developmental workshops, and they're called labs and things like that. So had a lot of those lined up, and hopefully those will continue to happen, so we can get back into this creative hustle that we're all so used to.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Lauren, hi Lauren, says, hi Marissa, fellow Long Islander here.
Hey.
What is your daily warm-up like for vocal or physical, all of the above?
Oh, great. That's a great question. It does depend for me on what kind of day I'm having. If I do need to sing full out, my vocal warm-up is definitely a lot more intricate than when I wake up and just kind of warm up in the shower. Ethel Merman said, if you warm it up, you wear it out. But I am not 100% believer in that, because you do need to warm it up. It's like your body. You're not going to run a mile after you wake up. I do stretch. I do a stretch class almost every morning. Your body is your job. And I believe that helps kind of everything. It opens up your breathing and your vocal cords and your body, and you just feel free. And I just do like little warm-ups, like trills and scales. I do them without even thinking sometimes. I'm just sitting around watching TV just to make sure it's still there, especially when we're not using it as often as we might want to. And I usually sing through a song every once in a while, even if I'm not performing. I try to find my different placements and things like that. But I don't do too large of a vocal warm-up, so I don't get fatigued. I just try to make sure all the notes are there and work on my breathing. My breathing is it's where all my diaphragm is, where all of my power comes from. So that's kind of my world. There's a lot of great vocal warm-ups online if you don't have a voice teacher right now, just to make sure that you're not using your voice incorrectly and hurting yourself. So I think that that's the most important. Just figure out where your voice sits and don't push.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Shonda says, what is a big no and a for sure to do when going to a singing audition? Oh, so what's a must do and a no-no?
Okay. This is a very loaded question.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of these are going to be like, they're going to sound very Hallmark card, but a must do is be nice. Be nice to every person you come into contact with, whether it be, I don't know how many of you have been in a professional audition setting. It's weird. It's weird. They're called cattle calls most of the time. It is a large room of humans just dreaming about a job. So sometimes you sit in one room with Not these days, but you could sit in a room with 100 people easily, sitting on the floor in your prettiest dress. Everyone in that room wants the job, but no one in that room is ever going to fault you for just being kind to them. The monitors, those are the people that you go to sign up for the audition. You walk in usually and you say, "Hi, I'm Marissa Rosen." And what if you have an appointment? Gosh, be nice to them because they're at every audition. Readers, who are the people who, if you have a scene to do in auditions, you're going to be reading with them while the creative team watches you do a scene. Be nice to them. The piano player, be nice to them. They can ruin your life. But
true, yeah.
they sure, I mean, I would hope they never would, but I'll tell you what, I have had so many people, me personally, just thank me for being nice. And now that I'm in a position to help other people, I would hire nice over talent in a heartbeat. Just putting that one out there. Also, just be ready, especially when you're going to these big calls. Just, be ready to just walk in and be like, okay, I have maybe like half an hour. Sometimes they're like, we're ready for you. And you're like, oh, but my shoe isn't on. And you're just like, just have your book and your headshots and your materials all ready, like when you get there, so you don't have to think about it, so that you can walk into that room mentally as prepared as possible and you don't feel rushed. A don't would be not knowing your material. I know some of us want to learn new things, and that I'm all for learning new, especially when you audition a lot. You're like, I want to switch it up. I don't want to sing Some Enchanted Evening every day. But let me tell you, you will be really mad at yourself if you get the opportunity to audition for something and you don't feel prepared, because then the people watching you make them a little bit nervous. And I believe that if you are having fun, they're having fun. If you're prepared, they can see that. So I would definitely say just be comfy. And if you wouldn't walk on stage and perform that song, I probably wouldn't do it in an audition. It doesn't have to be performance ready as far as like you're doing a Broadway show, but I would say lyrics, notes. If the piano player happens to play a different tempo or flub up a note, you can find your way back because you're in charge. So that would be preparedness. So be nice and be prepared.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
With the concert that you just with Kristin, as you came through, she at one point stepped back and let you guys do a duet, you and the other girl. What is her name? The other lady that
Crystal Monet Hall.
Oh my gosh, she's so good.
She's
so
everything.
Good. Oh my goodness. But do you guys change that song up during the depending, or do you just kind of you tend to do the same one? I mean, you guys started and I was like, yes, because it was basically one of my favorite songs. But
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. That was not prepared. Kristin in soundcheck, she's very fly by the seat of her pants. She's been doing this forever, and she is, we'll get into this, but the nicest, most giving performer you will ever. She doesn't pay me right now. She's not paying me to say that. The most giving human being you will ever encounter.
Yeah.
We were in soundcheck. Crystal's a pro. She sings for Ben Platt, Kesha, Thomas Rhett. She's a pro. And Kristin just was like, hey, you girls want to do a duet? And we were like, yeah. We thought like next time, whatever. And she was like, it's 6:30 and our show's at 8. So we got really lucky. That particular moment, I believe that yours was maybe the first or second time that we had ever sung together. Now we are more prepared. Now we know that she's a firecracker. And we have, I think we did Natural Woman, and I don't even remember what song we did that. We were all like, so it was either Natural Woman. Oh, I know we did. We did Son of a Preacher Man.
Son of a Preacher Man, that's right.
Yes, which is one of my audition songs, hilariously enough. So well, that was the point. Crystal, the other backup singer, was like, you take it and I'll just follow you. So I'll tell you what, that would have been a fun masterclass if you were in on the joke and watched our eyes. I've learned it's a very different business, singing back up and just being ready for anything. We were very much eye talking while singing. So yeah, Kristin kind of just one night and honestly we thought it was just so she could take a break, because you saw the show, she doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And that woman sat on a stool and watched us, and we were like, what?
It was pretty
cool is that?
Well, that's why I wanted to know, because sometimes you have to wonder, you're like, are these honest reactions? Like, has she seen this like 50 times before? And I'm like, man, they're so good. I'd probably react that way every time, but that's really cool. That's even more special to know that.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I was pretty nervous.
Amazing. Wow. Well, what is all right. What is a favorite role, like a favorite show that you've been in, moving away from the actual concert side of things?
My number one favorite show that I've ever done was Into the Woods. It was my dream role, Little Riding Hood, and I got to do it in high school, and then I got to do it again as an adult. So I just love Little Riding Hood. I think she's just such a fun character, and Into the Woods itself, as a music nerd, I'll just keep calling myself that. Sondheim is all about words and rhythms, and getting to do the song Your Fault, which is just like, if you've never listened to it, go ahead. I now know the whole thing. There's 4 people singing and I know all 4 parts. That was pretty exciting for me. And then doing it again as an adult was kind of just crazy. And then I'd say my second favorite show was Urinetown. I loved doing Urinetown. I did Urinetown. It was one of my first regional jobs. Actually, as a non-equity performer, a non-union performer, I got to do it in a union house as EMC, which is, if you don't know, it's called Equity Membership Candidate, which is when you're working towards your equity card. And the equity houses have the ability to hire some non-union actors, and you get to gain points towards your card. So I got to work with a couple of people that were in the original cast when it was here in New York, and it was just such a fun show. If you don't know it, it's super fun.
Fun show.
Yeah, I love it.
A couple times, so that's really neat.
Fun.
This Monday night show that you were talking about, is there a way for others to watch it? Like, how would we find that?
Absolutely, there is. So it is Monday evenings at 8:00. It is called Diva. This is a shameless social media plug. I'm doing it. You can follow me at the Marissa Rosen, THE Marissa Rosen. And that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook, that's on Twitter, that's everything. And I will post it a lot. But there is also Marty Thomas, who is the producer of the show. And he's one of my best friends. And he also beat Britney Spears on Star Search when they were kids. So that's his. Yes, if you are able to follow him, he posts that on all of his YouTube and pages. But I can definitely get you guys the link to that, because it's really cool. And we have a Broadway guest every week, which we did in the live show as well. Yeah. So last night we had Bonnie Milligan from Head Over Heels. We've had Jessica Vosk from Wicked. We've had Melinda Doolittle from American Idol, and Diana DeGarmo from American Idol. We've had Lily Cooper from Tootsie. We've just, like, the Broadway world is just so wonderful to us. So we get to hang out with our friends every Monday night.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that we've realized with all these Ask Me Anythings, is that it's actually a fairly small community. It's like one person knows this person, and like, what Jerry Hunt, who did one of our other movies, and it's Huntsville native, and I just love that. I love
the world that's the one thing. If you don't live in New York and you think New York is this big, vast, crazy place, like it is, but the business, it's so small. We're all just, it kind of just feels like we're all just friends at a party. You all do the same shows with the same concerts at the same venues with the same people. And that's the whole thing about being nice, is it really is. You just see the same people getting asked to do things over and over again, because they're wonderfully talented, easy to work with, and lovely. So it is quite a small world.
I love that. What would you say is your favorite thing about what you do, and least favorite thing?
My favorite thing about what I get to do is that I get to make people happy. It seems so silly. I just love that opening my mouth, sometimes doing what I love to do, put a smile on a stranger's face when I would have done it even if there wasn't a stranger in front of me. I love being challenged. I
Mm-hmm.
love being asked or told to do something that I might not understand and kind of figuring it out, even though it seems hard. Um, I just love performing. My goodness. I guess my least favorite thing is, which is also my favorite thing, it's the uncertainty. Um, it's we call it the hustle here in New York. It's the day to day that every single day is a um, basically an audition, even if you're not going to one. It's kind of a business interview. It's hard. New York is expensive, and not knowing what comes next is always difficult.
Yeah.
But if you work really hard and you're good at what you do, you can just really just snowball effect your way into the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
In the cities that you get to go to, do you get to explore them very much, or is it pretty much get in the venue, have a minute, and then go? Have you gotten to see any of the cities?
I guess it depends. When I do regional shows, I do because I get to be there for sometimes weeks or months if I'm doing a musical there. So I've got to be amazing. I mean, I was on tour with Priscilla in Europe, so
Mm.
I got to see that. Texas and Nashville and New Hampshire and Florida and places. Yeah, I've been to a lot of regional places. As far as the concert ones, especially with Kristin, most of them are like a day or two. So sometimes we get there the day before and then we leave the day after. So we do sometimes get a couple of hours, but before our sound check, or maybe before our flight that next morning. But it's a quick turnover.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She just goes from city to city to city, and I think 1 week I was on 5 planes in 6 days or something like that, and I was like, that's
Oh,
not my life. I'm used to sit downs. I was like,
my
oh,
gosh.
frequent flyer miles are cool. So
Yeah. Well, with that note, how do you keep yourself healthy? I know
there's
that's
a
got.
lot. No, you really have to be careful. My biggest concern is flying. There's just forgetting about the state of the world now. There's just germs. Your body reacts differently. I take a lot of vitamins. I always have with me some sort of, it's called oh my God, I'm forgetting what it's called. Some sort of mask, humidifier. That is what it's called. For me that I love. It's a kind of like a humidifier, a personal humidifier that you can fly with. I always have that with me. I have my vocal steamer with me. Any kind of vocal steamer will do. Um, Vitamins. I always have some sort of like Vicks Vapor Rub. I always kind of put it under my nose. Fun oils, uh, wipes, kind of just disinfect any things to disinfect all your surfaces and your things like that. You just kind of have to be careful because I get super dry when I fly. Altitude changes, humidity, things like that. Just kind of listen to your body. I'm not a drinker personally. So, and as we get older, I know that there's a lot of, you know, but
Yeah,
things, I don't do those things. Yeah, I'm just very conscious of the things around me.
sure. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's good advice. Um,
Yeah.
oh, blessing. Hi, blessing. Blessing signed on. Well, do you have any other stories? We're almost to 30 minutes already. I told you
Oh my
to go quick.
gosh, that was
No.
quick.
Any
Let
other
me
stories or
think.
you want to pass along? I could keep talking to you for a while. So,
I mean, talk to me, and I'm gonna think about maybe like a fun thing to think about. Let's see.
what's your favorite thing to do in the city when you're not working? Like if you actually
Oh,
have a downtime.
I love just walking around.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that today. I just miss aimlessly walking around.
Yeah.
I love the park. We don't have a lot of greenery in New York City, not a ton of trees and grass. So it's always nice to just go there. Um, I love to see shows when I can. Sometimes we last minute get to get a ticket or our friends are on that evening if they're an understudy. That's always my favorite thing. I just love to explore. It's such a great city, and I'm from New York, born and raised. So it always amazes me that that's the place I want to come back to because
That's
life
awesome.
could be easier somewhere else.
Well, yeah.
Um,
It's great that it's
but
never,
yeah.
there's always something new to discover,
Oh
even
yes.
being a New Yorker. So
Yeah. I will say, and I'm trying to think about especially high school age people
yeah.
as you guys are. My high school, I was very shy in high school for no reason. I had friends, I was part of sports, I did choirs. It had nothing to do with anything weird or different or any particular reason. But I was super shy in high school and I wasn't an aggressive performer. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, no, I don't need the solo. I don't need to do this. That's fine. My friends will do it. And I will tell you what, we had a very competitive class, our graduating class, full of girls. There was like 7 of us. And I was definitely what one might call an underdog, um, which now I kind of thrive that I love that. And Alicia Keys has a new song called Underdog, which I'm very, very obsessed with. So I would say that if you have any kind of fears or nerves or just those really hard high school things that I know a lot of people go through where you worry about what other people think and worry how it's going to make you look and you know let that go. My goodness, the second I let that go, all of a sudden I was like in all county choir and lead in a show and I got like a 99 on my singing competition score. There was just something very amazing about kind of accepting who you are and that that's going to make you the person that you're going to be.
Mhm.
And now looking back on it, I don't think I would have changed who I was in high school because I'm very loud and very aggressive now. But I think that all obviously all comes with age and experience. But I would say I always try to tell people to do one thing that scares them. Um, just to kind of feel what it feels like. Because once you can feel those nerves and what that kind of feels like, and it's something that like scares you inside, then things that come at you that you're not expecting won't scare you as hard
Mm.
because it's not something that you innately fear all of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if I was going to write a letter to my high school self, I would definitely be more aggressive with the things that I want, and just start early.
Yeah.
Just get real good real early.
Keep going. Keep doing it.
Yeah, it's
I
so
love
true. There's so many opportunities for young people right now in the business.
that.
So, I mean, they're hiring actual teenagers to do teenage roles. So, get ready to compete with that talent, but also how cool that you don't
Yeah.
have to wait like me. I have to wait another 20 years to age into some of my dream roles. So, yeah, I just say don't be scared.
I
Just
love
do
that.
it. Yeah.
Lauren wants to know, what is your favorite music to sing?
Oh gosh. Oh my
All
God,
the
I'm
things.
so weird. I don't even know. I really just love singing.
Yeah.
I probably would say like 90s 90s like girl
Nice.
group boy band music just for fun. Because I could just harmonize with myself.
Yeah.
But definitely I like pop rock
Hmm.
kind of things, which is cool because now in music theater we do have pop and rock musical, so kind of get to sing that. Um, yeah, and I'm a nerd for musical theater. So any kind of like high belty, let's see how high my range is today. You'll probably find me doing that in my bathroom somewhere.
What is your range? What is your high? Out of
I
curiosity.
wish I could tell you.
Oh,
Um, it changes from day to day, I will
yeah.
say. But normally on a normal day, I belt about like an FG in full belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's high. It's don't think you have to belt that high all the time. I know that that's the cool thing to do. You don't have to. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Um, but as far as I have this weird, this is a newly discovered in the past couple of years, kind of Pat Benatar rock, kind of not a scream because I don't like the word scream. It's not, it's actually the healthiest part of my voice. It's all nasal. It's like a yeah, that kind of thing. That
Yeah.
weird sound that we normally would just make while warming up. I now get to make Lenny doing. It's just it goes pretty high, and I don't think I have I've gone on a piano and figured out how high, because notes sometimes scare me when I
Yeah.
see them on paper.
That's funny.
But I studied classical soprano as well. So I don't get to sing that quite as often, but that made my belt stronger than actually singing in my belt.
Oh.
Yeah. Super weird.
No. Hey, Noel. No Cats is on. Yay!
Hey!
Noel wants to know, do you have your range on your resume?
You know what? I do not. I used to. I used to have my range on my resume. I think it was just one of those things that got swept off when we needed to make room for things. I know that sounds so bizarre. But I do have a vocal type kind of thing. I do say that I am like a mezzo belter with soprano. And I have found that in the event that I'm in a room that needs to know my range, they will vocalize me, which means take me over to the piano and kind of find the range that they need. But I do not have specific notage on my resume. But I also think that that would be different for someone who is, say, a classical soprano or in a different kind of genre than I particularly thrive in. So I think that's kind of different for everyone. If that's like your trick, I say do it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Your resume, I was looking at it. It is pretty it's pretty extensive and awesome now. How do you keep that clean? And like, what do you say are pros and cons for that?
Keep it clean.
Must do.
Make it visually. I like to keep things visually clean and stimulating. I think that's overall. I like that on my social media. I like that on my resume. I like that on my website. It's hard for me to take things off of my resume, especially when you're, as a younger performer, excited about your credits. But I do clean it up quite a bit. I do change the order. Sometimes I change the order based on an audition. If I'm going into an audition where I've done the show before or I've worked with the director before, I will often put that role at the top of that part of my resume for that particular audition. Yeah, but I do space it out. As far, you kind of can have your own style, but as far as New York City, I Broadway, off Broadway, regional, international tours, things like that, TV trainings. Don't go too crazy. I have one or two extra things on my resume that I could probably get rid of. But visually it still looks clean enough to me. But I would say just go through it every couple of months, especially if you're doing a lot of performing, and just add those credits, because you never know who's going to be looking at your resume and be like, oh, I worked with him. I'm going to ask Joe about you and see how it was working with you and things like that. So it's really important to keep an up-to-date resume.
Everybody's connected.
The smallest world, I'm telling you.
I love that. That's awesome. All right. Well, any last calls for questions?
Ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about theater.
Right.
But if not, I'm not offended.
Science questions you got out there?
No, don't ask me any science questions.
I got nothing.
No.
Oh. All right. Well, Marissa, this has been absolutely wonderful. If you make it back to Huntsville, you just let us know, and we'd love to talk to you again sometime. And best of luck. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Stay safe. Stay home. And stay creative.
Bye.
Bye.